everybody, and welcome back to SparkofVintage. I am Cindy, the owner and head treasure hunter here, and we are so excited that you're here to join us for the November 2025 Sonnet's Garden Blooms DIY Makers Box. So this box is another holiday release that is filled with just beautiful holiday papers, paint colors, and lots of cute surprises. So we're super glad that you're here. We hope that you'll like and follow and subscribe to our video so that you can see all the other future projects that will be coming up at this most busy creative season. So we have some projects in the bag and we'll have videos coming out every week. So again, thank you so much for being here. Stick around. I've got 7 different projects from the box and I think you're going to see some really cute items. Well, our November box was spectacular, as usual this month. Our colors were Fusion Mineral Paints Ash and Parchment. DIY paint included Fancy Farm Girl and White Swan. And our Sweet Pickins Milk Paint color this month was Basil, which turned out to be one of my very favorite colors. Connie from the Painted Photographer included her rice papers in Mary St. Nick and Winter Birch. And Roycycled Decoupage Papers were Santa's Greetings and that beautiful North Pole plaid. Everything, as always, perfectly coordinated and was just gorgeous together. Sonnet always includes a little bonus piece for us every month, and this month it was this adorable Santa face napkin. The beautiful thing about working with napkins is we usually get 4 prints for every napkin, so it's a very economical way to do crafting and decoupage work as well. The napkin was absolutely beautiful, and I put it on a heavy white cardstock because I wanted to include it in that very beautiful rhinestone frame that I had. So it was simple. I attached it with decoupage medium, then did a trim, and it popped right into that frame and ended up being a very quick but very impactful make. I prepped my next 2 wood projects with Fusion Mineral Paint in this month's color, Parchment. Parchment is a great color to use as a foundational piece, especially when you're working with decoupage paper because it already has sealer in it. So it's kind of 2 jobs for the work of 1. I also used the DIY Farm Girl color green for the trim on the outside of my larger wood piece. I'll get to the second wood piece in the next project. Using the Winter Birch rice paper from the Painted Photographer, I decided to attach it to the wood piece and do a little sealant on the edges of the DIY so the color would not bleed into the decoupage paper for the next step of the project. I wanted to add a little more dimension to that snowy background, so I decided to use some stencils and Tim Holtz Snowfall glitter paste. When you work with the glitter paste, it does have a little bit of a gritty texture, and you want to be a little careful as you're using it with stencils and make sure that you wash it right away off of your stencils. But I love how it gave a nice iridescent color to the snow and added some texture to the background. I also attached another Tim Holtz ideology project, the half trees. Now these were available a couple of years ago, so you might still be able to get them. I'll send a link in the chat below so that you can link to all of the products I'm using in the video. Next, I brushed on some Glossy Accents gel from Ranger in order to get some of that sparkly mica snowfall glitter to stick to the tree. The great thing about Glossy Accents is it dries clear and it grips onto glitter really well. Next, I attached some ornaments to my tree using the Ideology baubles that I had dyed with different colors of the alcohol ink. I painted the front side of this piece of wood in the parchment white that we received in our box, and the back side in my favorite red color, which is Highlander by Fusion Mineral Paint. I wanted to decorate this piece as like a door hanger or a special little thing that said, "Santa, stop here." So I used the Mary St. Nick rice paper from the painted photographer and trimmed it to fit the shape of this wood hanger. Once I had that all attached, I just sealed it with decoupage medium and then did a little bit of accent highlighting with some archival ink on the edges. I then took a small piece of the transfer paper from Kitschy Christmas in the holly pattern in order to cover up that little line of separation between the two boxes of the pictures. And just using one of my Tim Holtz red rubber stamp sets in the Christmas sentiment sheet, I picked out a really cute one to add to the top of the door hanger and attached the final cord and key, and I think it made an adorable project. You can subscribe to your own maker's box at sonnetsgardenblooms.com. I had this sled in my stash from the Goodwill bins about 3 weeks ago, so I've been holding on to it for just the right projects because I knew the Christmas boxes were coming. I prepped it with the Fusion Mineral Paint and parchment, and then the wood bow was been in my stash for a while, and I just decided to paint it with the Highlander red and the Oak Manor green, and one of Finnabar's metallic gold paints because they're such high pigment and give such great metallic quality. After that, I knew the right decoupage paper I wanted to use on the sled was going to be the North Pole Plaids by Roycycled. I also touched up the bottom and the rails of the sled with the ash black color that we got in our box this month, also from Fusion Mineral Paint. I also used Finnabar's metallic paint in steampunk copper in order to paint the two rails at the bottom of the sled. This month, I fell in love with this basil green color from Sweet Pickins Milk Paint. I was lucky enough to be able to meet Sasha at the Vintage Soul Retreat in October, and she and I talked a little bit about how to mix the paint properly and maybe some of the mistakes I've made in the past and how to avoid them going forward. So I felt very fortunate and a little more confident as I went into this project. I applied the paint a little thicker than usual because I wanted just some of that chippy look, but I also wanted some dimension on the frame. I went back and added a little bit of DIY green to fill in some of the grooves and then sealed it with a big top seal from DIY. The paper that I'm using is from Roycycled Decoupage Paper's Christmas collection last year, so it was exciting to be able to pull out some items from my stash. What I failed to capture on camera was that I had some leftover basil paint, so I painted a candlestick holder that I had in my stash and used some of the botanist transfers from this Christmas release from IOD in order to just add some floral decoration to the candlestick. I had this piece of wood already prepped in my stash for some projects I was doing for a craft fair that I didn't get finished. So the Roycycled Decoupage Paper in Santa's greetings was the perfect piece to add to it. I just applied the decoupage paper and then added some of the Christmas joy transfers to accentuate it, and just did a little bit of transfers. And then what I didn't capture on camera was I also added some of the Stickles glitter, and you'll be able to see some of those in just a moment when we look at the final project. And that is a wrap for the November 2025 Makers Box. I want to thank everybody again for joining me today for this Makers Box. I wish all of you just the most wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.